continuity trumps safety. I actually think that when you have continuity, and you know, this isn't brain surgery, I mean, this is the obvious, isn't it? You're less likelihood to have a bad experience for all the reasons that Beverly has given you. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Safer care, third tenet, and this is about working together across boundaries. This is about rapid referrals. This is about proper access to the right care in the right place, and across organisations if necessary. We want to instill a leadership for a safety culture, and we are calling for a champion on the board, on the NHS board, to monitor the information that's coming through and to take action when it's needed. And we saw this in Sweden, and I have to say we were really, really impressed by it. So it's not somebody bossing you around anymore. We have enough of that. It's about celebrating improvements when they happen. It's taking action when it's needed, and it's looking at the outcomes. We also have a system in the report which is about a no-blame culture. This is about investigations that are thorough, rapid, honest, and involve the family. And we're working with the Department of Health on that at the moment, and you'll be hearing more about that later on, I think. 4 is postnatal and perinatal mental health. Mental health actually is now much more in the arms of the working group that's been set up on mental health generally, and they have resources. But I have to say we have to knit into that. And certainly where we met midwives who were dealing specifically with people who had problems in the past, mental health problems or problems now, people taking drugs and all the rest of it. Very impressive. I really was impressed with the dedication of those people and certainly the outcomes that they were telling us about. Postnatal care, you know about postnatal care. It's the poor relation. And we are calling for more resources on that. I mean, once you have had your baby and you're sent home, gosh, it can be lonely, especially if you haven't got a mother-in-law. But it can be actually really lonely. And I remember with my first child, terrified. Thought he was going to expire any moment. And then my GP, very old-fashioned GP, said, Julia, you're really lucky. You've got a long garden. Put it in the pram at the end of the day. Anyhow, so we're trying to build this culture of leadership. And we think it is multi-professional training is actually essential for continuous improvement. And not only in emergencies, but also in routine situations. And we have a mantra throughout the report that those who work together should train together. Now, I was going to go into the Berkshire. This is in Holland, and we've got some here from Holland who can tell you much more about it than I can. But the Berkshire system in Holland, which is about community nursing, very, very impressive. I mean, the person who runs it, just a block, I've met now twice. We are trying to do something in this country on the same lines. So this is small teams working together, teams who are really responsible for the work of their own team. In Holland, they actually recruit people to the team. They also pay the midwives. They work with some of the money stuff, and you may not want that. But what we do need, we've got a really good model here. And we've also seen it in this country, especially with home birth teams, that it can work. So, what I want to do now, very quickly, is to just say that we've got huge support for this report. And certainly, one of the things that we need to look at very carefully is the levers for change in terms of how the money flows, whether the money is a barrier to some of the initiatives that we want. We need to have, and we're working with NHS Improvement, the new monitor, interesting title, but there we go. And we really need to show that the tariffs, how they're going to change. That this is terribly important for maternity, for midwife practices. I want to say a quick word about midwife practices. We've got examples of it, of course. We know how they've struggled in the past. We know how one-to-one in the Wirral is struggling now. We know people like Annie are very anxious to get midwifery practices within the NHS. Again, this isn't privatisation. This is the same way that we have GP practices. Part of the service, but also with more autonomy. And I am really anxious that we do less on process, but more on outcomes. And it is the outcomes that are really important. How you get there is up to the professionals. So we need to monitor the outcomes. And when you look at Annie's outcomes, you look at Joe Partington's outcomes, I mean, they are stunning. And yet they are not welcomed within the NHS. So in our report, we're talking about midwifery practices, and we're saying that we have to bring them in to the NHS, so they are funded by the NHS, but they have their own autonomy. That is so important. And I think this would make a huge difference. A huge difference. So finally, I need to say that this won't happen overnight. We know that. It is going to take time in order to get continuity working. We are talking with Kathy Borwick and others how we're going to achieve this. We are talking that it is going to take time, but we're going to aim for 20%, then we will aim for 40%, then we will aim for 60%. And we've got some working groups already now looking at the barriers, looking at how we can overcome those. I've been to see the CQC. Please relook at the way that you inspect community services, because you are geared towards the hospitals, and actually you've got to rethink that. And so far, the vibes on that are good. So we've set our goals. They're on page 101 at the back. If you take a copy of the report, if you're in enough to do that, and you'll have a look, and you'll see how we want to achieve all that. So I think that the future is going to be good. I think the future for women, their babies and their families is going to be ever so much better. And I think all these people here in this room, what a power we have together. And remember, power is for the taking. So it is how we can make this tremendous movement, which we are going to continue, as Beverly was saying, with the momentum, how we are going to make a huge change, and how we are going to ensure that better